Welcome to New Realities. This is Alan Steinfeld, and I'm so happy to have today's guest on the show because she talks a lot about what's happening to us now today, about the transformation on the planet, and how there needs to be a coming together of the feminine, that we need to come into union. So thank you, Kailana Rose, for being here. Kailana Raphael Rose. Most of us come from a pretty normal background. How did you discover that there was more to relationships, to connections, to who we are? I'm always interested in how people find their path.
So for me, I was brought up in a Catholic system. And for me, it was always like, well, where's the feminine? Where's the feminine as well as the masculine? And so I'm grateful for my Catholic upbringing. For me personally, I didn't want to know about it. I was like, there's no real role for women in here. I was allowed to sing in the choir, but I wasn't allowed to be in the sanctum like the altar boys. So I'd sing in the choir, but I was always asking, like, where's the feminine? And so we have in that system, we have what was taught then, because I've just turned 70. What was taught then was we have the Virgin, Mother Mary, and we have the prostitute, Mary Magdalene. And so where does that leave a woman, really, in her normal life as a woman, as a lover, as a partner? And so I started asking questions, and I looked at Buddhism, I looked at different ones, but I didn't want to know about Christianity because of what I saw as the restrictions around the empowerment of the feminine. But Yeshua would keep appearing to me in meditations, teaching me energy flows. And so I started asking, well, what is Christ consciousness? If it's not necessarily about religions, and so much, unfortunately, in patriarchal times has been left out around the sacred feminine, then what is Christ consciousness? And so, when you put a question out to the universe, you get answered, often not in the ways you think. And so what happened for me was rebirthing. I started rebirthing to find out what was the truth for me. That led me to A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles is all about Christ consciousness. And so I really started questioning so many things as a woman. And in A Course in Miracles, there's one of the prayers that says, are you willing to dedicate your life to the at-one-ment, not atonement, but at-one-ment? So that was my prayer every day. I want to serve. And I want to serve and do my part in the at-one-ment. And so then what started happening was my initiations. I was initiated, Archangel Raphael came to me, asked me to do a whole series of work on flower essences and crystals, which took 10 years. And so I started drawing energy patterns. And part of that was connecting to the Devic worlds, which is in a way such a earth feminine wisdom that literally went behind the veils, all the devas, the fairies, on how to look after the earth. And I remember when I first was asked to make the flower essences, I thought that's a bit of a wimpy thing to do because the state the planet was in back then in the 1990s. And I was literally sat down in my chair by the Devic energy. And they said to me, it is total arrogance for humankind to think that they can learn how to look after the world when they haven't been, without checking in on those who've been looking after it. So that led to a whole body of work, inner child work, like if we are working through in our karmic puzzle, incarnational journeys, then some of it we can access through our birth journey or through our childhood, or we may be taken to a past incarnation. And what I learned in doing that work, working with facilitating women's groups, trying to find, the first one I did was with a friend, and we called it Celebration of the Feminine. We went looking, what is the divine feminine? What is the sacred feminine? So we facilitated a group, and it was the most amazing group in a valley called Thora, which in the Aboriginal lineage was a women's initiation valley. And so it was like a birth canal. And so we ran that group, and it changed my life. Because I had to really look at what is the feminine and how do we celebrate it. So that led me, Thora Valley was a valley that above was a lot of logging, and a lot of the devic energy had come down for safety into the valley. So all the divas started talking to me. And this happened initially, my son, when he was 11, was hit by a car and had acquired brain injuries. And so I was doing rebirthing, living training at the time. And I had a dream with him the night before. And in the dream, I was with him on this very fast train, speeding. And he said to me, if you hold my hand, I'll be okay on this fast journey. And the next day, exactly the time of his accident, I burst into tears, and they asked me, what is it? And I said, I don't know, but I'm being asked to let go. And who I was being asked to let go of was him as he was. And he was hit by a car at exactly that moment, and in the head. And so I went down by air ambulance to Sydney, and I stayed with him, but I could draw on all those women that I'd been training with. And I was sitting beside his bed by myself, because I was the only one who could fly down in the air ambulance. And I got a tap on the shoulder, and I looked behind and there was nobody there. And I closed my eyes and I got a tap on the shoulder again. So I closed my eyes and said, who's tapping me on the shoulder? And this voice said to me, I'm the Anika Diva. He needs me. Will you let me flow through you to him? And that's how it started. I started drawing energy patterns. He was, they wanted to put shunts into his head because swelling in the ventricles, and I didn't want that to happen for him. So I asked, was there somewhere I could help? And they gave me an energy pattern drawing for his ventricles, and I'd place it on his body. He didn't have to have the operation. And so that's how it started for me. And the divas, I'd walk outside the hospital and there was a huge jacaranda tree, and I would hold it and I'd weep, and because he was in coma. And the divas would straighten me up and they'd flood me with this energy of the jacaranda tree, and I'd go back into intensive care and it would flow through me to him, and it became my kid's rescue remedy. And that's how it happened. Divas started talking to me. I came home with him. We brought him home after 2.5 months to look after. And all the divas started talking to me, and flowers would just manifest when they heard the name of one. And so what I was told was that at the fall of Atlantis, when we lost our 12-strand, 12-chakra DNA connection, we went into a basic 7-chakra body. And rather than have that energy go back to the cosmos that kept those 12 strands alive, the divas and the crystal beings stepped forward and they said, we will hold it in our kingdom until humanity is ready to reclaim it. So that's why I started drawing all these. These are all flower essence codes.
Oh.
And what they're very simply drawn.
Oh, but is that?
Yes, they're very simply drawn. But what they're doing is they're giving back from the flower and crystal kingdoms what they held for our DNA. So this took about 10 years to bring them through. There's 63 of them, and they've all got energy pattern codes of the flowers of what they're offering, so they can be laid on the body and breathed in because they hold the pattern of what that flower or crystal is giving back. And then having done that, because flower and crystal essences, about 1998, a lot of people started making them because that's when we as humanity were ready to start reclaiming that 12-strand, 12-chakra body. And so the flower essences talk about the inner child. I've got a whole series on birth. I facilitate a group for pregnant women to find out how could I support a conscious birth canal so the babies coming through could birth consciously without having to shut down when they went into the mother's energy field. So I've made from those whole series of essences for birth, for conscious birth. And then having done that, years later, and I always anchor my codes at Uluru. Uluru's my place. It's the center of Australia, solar plexus chakra of the world. And often I'll take a body of work back there, give it to Uluru portal.
You go to Uluru? Do you go there to actually? Yeah.
I've been there about 13
How many times?
Yeah, about 13. And I've been out dancing with the Aboriginal women there. And some of my codes have been blessed by some of the elders. And when I take them back there and I give them to that portal, I say,
Oh no, I was just wondering if the cards themselves is the same as taking the essences. And I
Yes.
mean, are they, or they are?
If you
They
pick a
are.
number from 1 to 63, if you just pick a number.
I'll pick one now, you mean?
Yes, pick a number for you.
I, I think 13 came to me first.
Okay.
13.
So number 13 is this one. And this is an iris. And they're very simple because this is all about healing through the inner child. So this is holding the colors and patterns that is giving back. So laid on the body, and I sing it in with chakra songs, but laid on the body or breathed in. So you can ask that through this pattern, the diva gives you the blessing of this essence. And I'll give you just a précis of it for you. This essence brings the soul qualities of forbearance, patience, and light into states of depression, or brings joy of life into the physical body. It's highly medicinal in that it affects the physical body by bringing in on a profound level the soul qualities of forbearance and patience, bringing a feeling of rejuvenation in on a deep cellular energy level, astringent, cleansing effect in the energy centers relating to the blood. It's an excellent remedy for those in a wheelchair, even as it rejuvenates the energy centers that relate to muscular tissue and regeneration of the spine. You may be drawn to this remedy if you experience insomnia, depression, or even in extreme suicidal tendencies, because the properties of this essence bring the focus of the light of spirit to encourage deep sleep and a clear memory of dreams. Your body and being will feel good as the joy of life is felt again in the physical body. And it has a simple affirmation which says, I accept healing for my physical body. My body is free of pain, and I dance my life with grace. And it can be, doesn't mean that.
Beautiful. I actually.
Oh, yes. It doesn't mean that you have deep depression.
No, I was just saying I feel energy.
Yes.
Well,
Because what's happening on the planet, and if we're sensitive, we're feeling what's happening on the planet. And there is a deep sense of depression on our planet because of what's happening,
yeah.
loss of hope. And so this essence, we can ask, Alan, that this goes out and blesses anyone who's finding these times difficult, that they can see the joy of life in amongst it. So we can send this, asking all the divas to give this to the heart of humanity.
I feel energy. I feel that the energy from the card, it's giving me energy. I've been a little tired, so I feel the vitality of that essence coming at me, through me from there. So thank you
You're
for
welcome.
that.
How
So,
energy
I
pattern
mean,
codes work,
yeah.
if they're drawn, like after the flower essences, I was commissioned to do a whole set of essences for the endocrine system and chakra bodies, and I did codes for that. And many ascended masters stand behind those codes, and they promise the same with these flower cards, that if they're breathed in and welcomed, the divas will shower you with that essence. The masters will shower you with the activation of those codes, because that's their promise. So they sort of lay latent until they're breathed in, and I sing them in and activate them with songs. And so after the flower essence codes, I was in meditation, and a beautiful being, a Master Melchizedek, appeared to me, and he gave me a book, and it had written on it the history of the DNA evolvement of mankind. And he said to me that he was asking me to draw patterns from this book that he'd given me on the etheric. And he said, it's as if you've got to give back to the DNA what it lost in Atlantis, so it can reclaim the 12-strand DNA body, because we can't evolve further until we've reclaimed that. And so that led to this whole body of work, which has got many, many patterns and codes. And that's called DNA repatterning.
Can we get these on your website?
Yes, it's all on
These
my
cards?
website. Yes.
Wait, let me see some of those cards. Those were really, I need some of that DNA repatterning.
Okay. So we'll do the same thing, Ellen.
Should I?
We'll ask you
Oh,
to pick a number between, so the DNAs are all named 1, 1A, 2, 3, 4, all of that, but there's 67 of them. So if you ask, what is the pattern that will serve you most between 1 and 67?
I think 65. How's that? 65.
65 is an adrenaline hormone. I'll just find it for you. This is the adrenaline hormone, and you're saying you were feeling a bit tired. So when I did this, I have a manual called DNA repatterning, and in that I talk about what this hormone does physically, but I channeled what it does spiritually. Because what it does spiritually is that, I'll just explain first. Energy comes from source through a light filament into a DNA strand. The DNA strand pulses it into a chakra. The chakra pulses it into a gland. The hormones take it through the blood. And so it has a spiritual purpose. And so this one has a spiritual purpose. And when I first drew these, all that I was given permission to write on the code was, I allow this code to restore the true DNA coding. And I worked with it for quite a while with different groups. And then I was given permission to say, and activate. So when working with these codes, it's really important you give permission. So if you say with me for this code, and I'll just be telling you its spiritual purpose. So if you say, I allow this code.
I allow this code
To restore and activate.
To restore and activate.
The true DNA coding.
The true DNA
coding.
Coding.
Of the adrenaline hormone.
Adrenaline hormone.
And its other name is epinephrine hormone. So the spiritual purpose of this code is to activate the spiritual function of this code, which is to support us to surrender to the flow of life pulsing through our bodies, to allow us to flow more gracefully with life, and to draw into our body the physical energy that is needed to live our life more fully, expansively, and energetically.
Great. Wow. Wait, put this online because some people are asking what the to order the cards, to look at them. What is your actual website?
My website is www.rose, R-O-S-E, of,
yes.
O-F,
yes.
Raphael, RAPHAEL.com.au. If orders are ordered from overseas, on my website, because all the postage has changed during COVID, so if anyone from overseas wants to order, they just email me and I can then send them a postage quote that is more accurate. So I do send to overseas. It just doesn't look like it.
Some people online, I'm checking the chat here, I wanted to the number 5 was. Can you write from the deck?
What number? Yes, number 5. I'll tell you. The number 5 is 2A. So I'll tell you what that is. That's it's from the Ascension Chakra hormone, the hypothalamus, produced by the hypothalamus. And I'll tell you the spiritual purpose of it.
Oh, nice.
So the same thing, whoever's put that question, you would say, I allow this code to restore and activate the true DNA coding of the ADH hormone, which is the anti-diuretic hormone, is what it's named medically. And its spiritual purpose is to restore and activate the spiritual function of this hormone, which is to restore the memories of skills that were gained from experiences in other dimensions and star systems. This is so that they can be accessed now and dedicated in service to Mother Earth and all beings. And whoever picked that code, what I would say to you is that as the Earth is in her ascension process, we're being asked to, as she becomes a star, we're being asked to remember our star lineages and become like acupuncture points for Mother Earth to support her as she becomes a star. So these patterns, what I normally do is if it's chosen, if I'm working with someone on Skype or physically, I ask them where would they put that pattern. So for instance, this one relates to the Ascension chakra. But because the endocrine system is a big loop, they may put it here because that's where it's not flowing. And wherever they put or want that part on their body, I sing the chakra song of that chakra. And the chakra song sings the truth back to that chakra, releases thought forms blocking truth, but it also sings the pattern in. So you could ask that lady, is it a lady?
Yeah, I think so.
What?
It's DJ Jaguar's her name. Exercise. Yeah. Ask her what you say. Ask her.
What part of the body would she place that code on?
Oh.
And she'll just feel a sensation in her body.
Oh. Well, do you want to sing the song? Do you have the song there so
Well,
we
it
could
depends where
absorb
it goes. If I was singing the song of the hypothalamus, if she placed it back here, the mantras are very simple. And at the same time, as Melchizedek came to me and gave me the book, my higher self from Andromeda came into the meditation. And she told me that I recognized the feeling. I used to have it when I was a child, and I had a lot of trauma in my childhood. And I would go and I'd sort of get in the corner like this and close my eyes. And I'd get this feeling, and I used to call it turning to rubber. But I know now it was like, because every cell changed. I'd see patterns, and it was like my whole body changed in frequency. And she said to me that she had always been with me, but she couldn't embody it until I'd done the emotional work. And because the endocrine system is our emotional body, I had to do my own inner work on clearing old emotional energy. And I still do that to this day. And so she said, she said, it's really important that you speak the language of light because it's the language of the soul. I didn't know anybody else speaking it. I do now. We have lovely conversations. Like Phil is one of them.
Right.
But
so that
I didn't. And she said, I'm going to give you in the language of light. She said, before anything is formed and comes into manifestation, there is a song like Om, sound of creation. She says, I'm going to give you the mantras that formed these chakras in the language of light. They're very simple mantras. Anyone can sing them. So the mantra that I was given for the hypothalamus chakra, so if that lovely lady can just imagine that this is, and if anyone else wants to do it, they can. Just imagine we're asking your divine presence and higher self to place this pattern on the back of your head, on the Ascension chakra. And we're asking that this chakra comes back to the truth of its essence, releasing any thought forms blocking the true beauty of this chakra. So I sing it 3 times in universal law. And as I sing, sometimes old thought forms come to the surface, negative ones or limiting ones. So if that's the case, you simply say, I release the belief that I can't ascend, for instance, because the Ascension chakra did close down in Egypt. You see some of the statues and they've got a dome behind here. That was a fully activated Ascension chakra.
Right.
And the hypothalamus, some people think that the pituitary is the master gland of the endocrine, but it isn't. It's the hypothalamus. It bridges between the autonomic nervous system and the endocrine, and it pulses 9 releasing hormones that activate the pituitary to do its work. So I'm just going to sing this song. So I'm calling on my Andromedan higher self who gave me these songs, the dolphin and whale consciousness, to sing to you all through my voice. As I sing it 3 times, give permission for this code to come in and activate and bring this chakra back to truth, releasing anything not of truth. Allah, a way, a. Allah, a way, a. Allah, a way, a. And you just ask that if any thought forms are being released, that into them comes the truth of your divinity, the truth of this beautiful chakra. Allah, a way, a. We ask that this chakra come back to the truth of its essence, releasing anything not of truth.
Right. Thank you. Was a that was a man who had that request there. But it doesn't matter any way.
Oh, to the beautiful man.
But talk about this. But I love your work because it's so original and so important at this time, because we are catching the ascension wave, and people need tools to help transform their bodies, their DNA, the old stuck patterns. And I don't know that many people working on the level that you to really fundamentally activate the dormant DNA. I mean, people talk about it, but there's some tools out there now that is doing that. But talk about this time of ascension and what we're moving into as a planetary civilization, what you see as possible for all human beings now.
So when Melchizedek gave me the book, I was in the process. My father was dying. I was living quite a distance from him, but I was working with him on the energetics. And different people would come into my field, quite evolved ones, and say, oh my goodness, you're going to do this amazing body of work for the DNA. And I felt like going, just leave me alone. I'm not ready. And it wasn't until I sang my father through, after he died in the funeral parlor, I sang, he came to me as a soul, and he asked me to sing him. So the songs, these mantras, I have a chakra CD of these songs. They're death and birth songs. So I've sung babies through, because we come in and out via our chakras. So I've sung babies through, including my youngest daughter when she was born. I've sung people, including my mother, through as she died, to help release from the chakras. And I was told that this work was ahead of its time. And this was in 1995. No one was talking about DNA repatterning. More people are now. And so it took quite a few years to bring these patterns through, because when I was drawing, so I was singing the song of the chakra, the truth, giving the spiritual nature back through the codes, and we started meeting all the distortions. I had to hold a group because it had to come through group consciousness. So I would hold a group, and they would hold me energetically as I brought the information through. And we started meeting distortions of masters, which has acted out a lot on our planet, beings saying that they're of the light and they're not. And so I was able, at a conference in Australia, at the WISAC, to call, there was a couple of hundred people there, and I was asked to talk to them about this and say, if you have a wound, if anyone talks about ascended masters and you feel sick, it's usually because you are bound to a distortion. And that's why you're not allowing this energy in. So I talked about this, and I said, if anyone has had a feeling that they don't want to know about ascended masters, or they feel sick, will you step forward? Everyone stepped forward. And I said to them, so what? This is Wesak, Buddha's birthday, all the ascended ones are close. We're going to ask them to heal up their distortion. We're going to hand them back this wound. We're going to break the contracts. I had one with Saint Germain, a distortion of Saint Germain. And, Saint Germain, I don't think I'd still be here if it wasn't for him always surrounding me in violet light. But I had a memory of being bound to a distortion of Saint Germain. And those distortions look the same. When we had the fall and a lot of the masters withdrew to the higher levels, lower astral entities walked in pretending to be those masters, looking like them, false glamour. And so people bound themselves to them. And so until they break those contracts, they don't want to serve the light. They're fear of it because they were often made to do things that were evil, like not life promoting. So that's what we did when I gathered those groups. We were looking at clearing and calling on the truth of the ascended ones to take care of their distortions and to no longer, and that's what acting out on earth right now. It's acting out. People who have closed down their heart chakra are acting out on our planet things that are not life promoting, like vaccinations for young babies. In Australia, we have something called no jab, no pay. A horrible name to inject little 6-week-old babies with toxins. And so those beings are doing that. We can't say, because in unity consciousness, everything is one. But what I've learned through doing this one here, this is called the Christ Heart of Compassion Code. This is part of a series. And it's about the initiations of Christ consciousness. And one of them is that one of the gifts of those initiations is to learn compassion. And what this code says is that the so-called victim and so-called perpetrator have something in common. A heart that is closed down and just wants to be welcomed home to love. And a lot of lower astral beings believe that they can never ascend past the earth now because of their actions. So they have to be in power here. And that's what a lot of what's happening on the planet right now is those energies trying to have power. And it's a big call to humanity to wake up and be sovereign. So
right, and this is the time. No, I totally agree with you. And the faults, the old energies, the old dogmas need to fall away from the consciousness envelope that has trapped us. We're going to be ascended divine beings, and most people just sort of get trapped by another system, and they don't see the possibility of true freedom, which is what you're helping to do within the ascension codes, within the endocrine glands and the DNA. When we activate them, we don't need to ask other people, what's right and what's wrong. I mean, there's an intuitive knowing, because we are also connected to the source direct, just like all those fallen gods. I mean, I would say so.
And sometimes we have
yes.
parts of ourselves that we need to. If we're going to ascend, we can't leave anything here. And so a lot of the inner work now is to, rather than say there's an entity or this negative energy out there attacking me, it's like, well, is this a part of myself that I haven't come to peace with? Because how often in our soul journeys on the earth have we gone out of integrity due to fear? We have been manipulated by fear on our planet for eons, and people have gone out of integrity because of fear, survival. And so sometimes what's knocking on our energy through some projection outside of ourself is a part of ourself that we need to bring home to our heart, forgive ourselves, but also to ask, I don't believe, and in my teaching, what I've been taught and what I teach is that we are not a victim of anything. So if, for instance, we have created abuse in our life, then there's a reason. There's a soul learning. Maybe it's a balancing of karma. Maybe it's to learn compassion around what it was like to be abused. And so if we can call that part in to our heart, into our inner heart temple, ask that one on a soul level, we can ask our own Holy Spirit, not bound by time. If we say, I am a creator and I own that, and on a soul level, I created this experience in order to learn and evolve as a soul. Holy Spirit, give me back that learning. And believe me, you will get it. And if you get it, then you can thank that part of you for acting it out, even though it may have been painful. You can ask, I work with what's called the Celestial Angels Courts of Forgiveness, and they will open a rainbow bridge in your heart. They will take that part of you across the rainbow bridge into a court of forgiveness, and they'll call everyone involved in that lifetime to resolve it and come to peace. And what you can say to that soul part of yourself, be it a masculine, feminine, inner child part, that you will go forward with the learning, with the deepest gratitude. And then you can dissolve, because if we have a belief that I deserve to be punished, we send that thought form out. Through the law of reflection, it is mirrored back to us, and someone will act it out to us. So as part of that learning, and this is what I do in private sessions or groups, I ask them to call out their sword of truth from their heart, like a laser wand of Star Wars. In our heart is the flame of our presence. Blue, gold, pink, the love, the light, the power. We draw out a laser sword and we don't cut cords, but what we do is we touch them with love and gratitude to any being, this lifetime or another, who's been mirroring back that story so that we can learn and evolve. And if we touch it with love and gratitude, it dissolves, and we can send a blessing to those souls rather than making them enemy or bad and wrong. And I know this is so much against what we've been taught. We've been taught to be victims, but we're not. And if we're going to be who we are here, then we need to own that we're creators. And guess what? If we can create that, we can create an amazing life also.
Right. No, someone asks on the chat, how do you deal with people that you got a misunderstanding of, I never forgave you, whatever they thought you did? If someone accuses you of doing something to them, I guess, and they're not willing to forgive you, how do you deal with that? Because that's a wound. That's a wound when someone won't, for whatever you've done, and so how do you
usually
deal with that?
I would ask that person, have you forgiven yourself? Or do you have a belief that you deserve to be judged and not heard clearly? Bring it back and see if you're wounded and someone does something. If you go within, sit in your heart temple and ask, what are my beliefs now? And you'll hear those thought forms. And that thought form might be, no one ever understands me. It might be, I'm not worthy of forgiveness. It might be, I'm innocent and I did nothing wrong. Why am I being blamed? You will find the thought forms. And if you can release those thought forms, I release the belief that, and bring in the truth that I am innocent, then you no longer will have that law of reflection, and that you cannot change that other person, but you can change what is mirrored back in your field. On the earth plane, it is a mirror. For instance, if I want to know, as a woman, what is my relationship with my masculine within, I just listen to what men are saying to me, because they're mirroring back to me what I believe. If you're a man and you want to know, how am I with my inner feminine, just look at what's mirroring back to you from the feminine. And if it's something that's a bit not balanced, take it to the inner and do some inner work with your masculine and feminine energy, because the world is a mirror. So whoever is not being forgiven for something, I would say to them, is there something that you haven't forgiven yourself for, so you don't believe you're worthy of forgiveness? Because bottom line, true forgiveness is to forgive self. In the eyes of spirit, nothing is judged. It's not that God doesn't forgive us, it's us. So if someone is mirroring back to you that they're not forgiving you, do you have a belief that you are not worthy of forgiveness because of some action maybe you took this or another lifetime? And none of that I'm saying without compassion, because I know it's painful. But the pain is sometimes a shutting down. Years ago, my husband and I, we've been together 33 years. We're a twin flame, and we were brought together to do this work. And so we, over our journey, we've mirrored back to each other almost every wound you can imagine, this and other lifetimes that's held in the twin flame body. We came together, we separated, we came together, we separated. And the separations were painful. And every time I would ask, so one time when he left me, I was going to tear up a poem he'd sent me, and all of a sudden I was taken into a higher plane with both of us in our higher selves, looking down and going, look at what we're teaching each other now. And so I never closed my heart, because I read somewhere that when you close your heart, it's painful because you've closed your heart. That's the pain. But if you can open your heart to the experience and go, okay, this person who's not forgiving me is showing me something about myself so I can evolve. And it's said that often the soul that loves us the most is the one who acts out the bad guy so we can learn. So true forgiveness is to forgive yourself. So I hope that makes sense to whoever asked that question.
Oh, that's great. I wanted to talk to you about the divine masculine, divine feminine, and that, we're always looking for, maybe let's call it, the perfect partner that fit our ideal of the other, but they're not always perfect in what our expectations are. And so, do we release what doesn't seem to fit the picture, or do we grow to that union? I mean, how do you know when it's right and when it's not? Because everyone's the divine feminine or divine masculine, and then there are people that so I'm just curious.
So when Ram and I first met, I was just completing a 17-year marriage, and he was very much a soul family member. And Ram, my husband now, we consider him that, and we're going down to visit him actually after this session. He lives 3 hours away, and we had 3 children together. And but my thing for me personally was we started rebirthing together, and for him personally, he hit a block and he shut down, and he felt very triggered by me continuing on my path. And it was our contract was ended. We had a soul contract to be together for that time. And so I started doing that one. I dedicate my life to serving the at-one-ment. And all of a sudden, it was like I'd let free a river that
But
was
how'd you know what?
How did I know?
How'd you know it was finished, or you were needing a resistance inside yourself? You know what I mean?
I knew it was time on a very deep level, but I had a lot of fear. We had 3 children. He was my best friend in a way. But I would say to him, I want to serve the divine plan. He'd say, I don't. And I go, how can you say that? And so I won't go into the whole long story of it, but Ram and I were brought together. And one of the first things he said to me is, I know who you are and I want to serve with you. And so our service was to offer up, even on our wedding day, 12 years, on the 12th of the 12th, after we had been married by spirit. Just after we met, we were married by spirit. And an old lady who gave me readings said that we'd come together. We were a twin flame couple. But we had to resolve, in order to hold place for the sacred union workshops we would run in the future, we had to dissolve a lot of those things that had separated us. And what I say to anyone, the only reason that Ram and I own that we're a twin flame couple is that many twin flame couples don't make it. Because a soulmate is one who, had many lifetimes with you and let's have fun together. A twin flame remembers, and there can be many levels of twin flame, but that original separation from the androgynous being into a male-female body, which had occurred in the land of An, in the times of Atlantis, is they remember union. And so when they come together, they want that union again, and they bring up anything separating that union. So a lot of twin flame couples don't make it. They can't live together. So Ram and I move through a lot of those things, and we have no judgment, and we can hold space. But basically what we teach is the twin flame is within. It sits in the high heart chakra. It's the marriage, the inner union within. And sometimes we will manifest that on a physical level. Sometimes it's said that in a twin flame, one is in spirit, one isn't. That's an old story that comes from the land of An, where some of the twin flame, one went in to help in Atlantis, one stayed in the land of An on a high vibration. When at the fall of Atlantis, the land of An went back through the star portals to Antares, and one stayed in the physical because they couldn't raise their vibration again quick enough. And that's where you get the old story of the twin flame, that one is in the body, one isn't. But in order to birth a new age, there needs to be X amount of twin flame couples holding that energy, because how do we birth on the earth? We birth through union. We birth through the marriage or the coming together of the male and female energy, and from that we birth. So how do we birth the Christed child or the angelic human within ourselves? We birth it through our inner union. So Ram and I, we've given our workshops all around the world, and we did in New York, a small one in New York, a year or so ago. We can't travel now, but what we were doing is we do forgiveness ceremonies where I would work with the women, he would work with the men. We come back and we face each other and we say, as a woman, what I need to forgive you for, the masculine, and what I need you to forgive me for, that I have acted out in the separate ages of patriarchy and matriarchy. We did this in Warsaw in Poland. They were bringing in rape to heal. You know, the wounds were so recent in Poland. The forgiveness was so deep that they all, who'd never spoken the language of light before, birthed a celestial city of light for Warsaw through male-female balance. And I was playing a song at the end of it called Joy, played on the piano. And every time I play that CD, I can still go back to that celestial city of light. We gave workshop in Paris, and a celestial city of light anchored at Notre Dame.
At a lifetime, I feel that last lifetime in Warsaw, Nazis came in, and there was a lot of trauma there that's still in the soul that I think needs to be cleansed in that way, needs to be released, because hearing that and bringing in that crystal, activating some of that release.
And where was that from? You faded, I didn't hear. Where was the word from?
No, that was from the life in Warsaw with the Nazis, the Nazi occupation in World War II. So that's my feeling anyway,
In the celestial courts of forgiveness, there are, in the celestial cities of light, there are the celestial courts of forgiveness. And if you know that you have a wound, you can ask and pray. And you would say, I ask for healing and resolution of anything unresolved from that time. And you would name the time. And then you would say, and any past, present, or future lives still affected by this. And I ask for healing and transformation of this through the law of grace. And you will receive support to heal this. You can ask the celestial angels to offer a court of forgiveness, because if you have living in you a part, be it this lifetime or another, that has an unresolved wound, it will have thought forms. And those thought forms will keep drawing that to you until you resolve it and forgive. There is universal laws. There's a group of us called the Divine University, and there's 80-something of us all around the world, initiated by a beautiful friend, Koala, and we all train together, and we work together to work in unity consciousness. And there's many, you can join, it's called the SiriusLibrary.com, and you can join the Heart Portal. So we work with what's called a Heart Portal. And once you've joined the Sirius Library, which is free, you can ask the Heart Portal to activate around you and all the angels and archangels to come in. So if you have an unresolved situation, because I know in Warsaw, our coordinators were staying just near a forest, and we walked through the forest. You could still see the trenches. It was the last battle between Poland and Germany. there's a helmet hanging on, you know, you can still see the trenches. And it was like walking in a hologram. I could still hear the battle, the guns, many trapped souls there. And in the light language was given a mantra. And this mantra, which is called the Ue Noa portal mantra, it's on my CD. And what it does is it opens up a portal through those guardians where the old energy can leave and the new can come in. So I sing it over the body if there's old energies leaving. So the new, aligned to present time, can come in. And I sang it on that site. I walked all through that forest to offer safe passage to those trapped souls who are still living that trauma. So if you have something unresolved, it may sit in your feminine pillar to the left of your body, your masculine to the right, or the soul central pillar. They will have beliefs and thought forms. Sometimes they become like a protector. So for instance, if you've been hurt in some way and you go into that situation, I'll go, don't go there. So you, in the end, you end up that you're boxed in by these thought forms. They're stuck in an old timeline. But if you can call them into present, ask for the gift of the learning, ask if they'll go across the rainbow bridge, that old energy leaves you and you can be in the present time. People often say to me, I want to live in the present. I don't want to live in the past. I don't want to go there. But if you look at their aura, they're stuck in the past because of all these unresolved energies. And so it's not that you have to relive them, but you have to honor them, forgive, bring them into your heart and not deny them. Because how many times on earth is where we learn we've been the good guy, the bad guy, in order to learn. We've been all these things.
You're absolutely right. People say, talk about being in the present, but they can't be in the present, like you said, if they're haunted, if carrying thought forms that are impinging the divine present consciousness. So we have to, there's a saying by Jesus, if you're present, everything else is known. And when everything else is known, to release, because the idea is to be free, to live in this moment as a free being and access the divine codes. I mean, this is what this time of ascension is about. So but we need to release the past, even if we're not aware of it. So, you know, what you're saying is helping us become aware of whatever thought forms we're attaching to, or as a, in order to be the beings we are meant to be here on this plane. So
we
thank
are.
you.
And
Yes.
In my bodies of work, moving on from the endocrine, once I did the DNA repatterning, I could then draw the Magdalene codes. And here they are. And these are
about
22 codes. So in order because the feminine embodies, in order for these to come, and so what I was shown is that the light of Christ consciousness comes through the dimensions as one light. To the 9th dimension, it individuated into male, female. Yeshua brought down the masculine codes, took 2,000 years to integrate those, and then the Magdalene codes could come. So the Magdalene codes are literally coming into the DNA gland codes, because so this is coming from the 9th dimension into an endocrine gland, because the feminine is and embodies.
Interesting you're saying that, because the reason we're doing this today is because of the 9/9, September 9th here on this world. And me and my friend Val, we've been doing these numbers since 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, and now we're in the 9. She may be joining us or not, but the 9 is where we split, you saying, into that reflection of the duality. So say that again about the 9, because
so this is just what I was shown in doing this work. That the light of Christ came from source of all that is, through the Christ planes, still one light on the 12th dimension, came down. When it got to the 9th dimension, it individuated into a male-female form. Yeshua brought it down through the masculine, 2,000 years to integrate what he seeded on our planet through Christ consciousness. Then the Magdalene, who supported him in his mission could bring down the Magdalene codes, and they come through the endocrine. And I spoke to you when we were on the talk with Phil Gruber that the endocrine system is so important because we are in a time of sovereignty, and to stand true in our sovereignty, to hold our blueprints, to bring in all that we are. And if you look at, we embody our light through the endocrine system. That's how we literally bring our codes in. So if you want to keep humanity disempowered, you attack their endocrine. We have that in vaccinations. We have it in what's in our water, shutting down the pineal, shutting down the thyroid, the thymus. And so that was why I think I was told by many people, you're going to bring through this amazing body of work for the DNA, is that if we are to be Christed here, if we are to be who we truly are here, we must have an activated endocrine system. And when I was doing DNA repatterning, I was meeting so much. It was a very intense time, just to put it lightly. You can't just bring through a body of work and say, oh, here it is. It has to move through you as a gift, but also it can be an intense thing. And I was almost giving up because it felt too intense. And I came across a book in a little cafe in the middle of nowhere by Alice Bailey. And it almost jumped out of the shelf. And so I opened it up at this page, and this is what she says. The determining causes in man, and that which makes him what he is, are the glands. They are externalizations of the types of forces pouring through the etheric centers from the subtler worlds of being. The importance of this glandular system cannot be overestimated. It is a replica in miniature of the septenary constitution of the universe, as above, so below, and the instrument of the contact for the 7 ray forces, the 7 spirits before the throne of God. Around this at present unrecognized truth, the medicine and the healing methods of the future civilization will be built. So I said, thank you, Alice, I'll keep going.
Yeah.
And so I continued
yes. No, we can live off, really can live off the secretions of our endocrine glands. Food and everything else is just to feed the endocrine glands to produce, the awareness we are actually built to live in the immortal body off the endocrine gland system when everything's perfectly aligned. I got that mission from somebody. So
and if we
this
do,
is what we're, yes.
If we
yes.
do, if we can, and that's what I'm on one level a little bit excited about COVID, because people who haven't even been aware of their endocrine system or their immune system are giving it attention. And guess what? If they give it attention, even if they're giving it herbs to balance their immune system, which is an endocrine system, they will be able to hold more light on our planet. So I think everything has a gift. Everything, there's a universal law called the law of divinity that says everything is divine. And so if there's any divinity in the COVID virus, because I know there's all the other agendas, but
right.
in the law of divinity, it's getting people to look at their immune system, which is endocrine, which means more light in the body. And so the sacred union, after drawing the Magdalene codes, I did the Yeshua. So this is drawing from the inner earth,
beautiful.
What Yeshua left 2,000 years ago.
Nice.
And I thought my husband would draw these. He's very Syrian energy. He works with men. And I thought he would draw them, but I was told that they had to be drawn by one person to activate that inner union. So I drew them, and many men cried. I was told that my job in the Christ family was to draw them. So they were drawn from deep in the earth where Yeshua had anchored those codes, coming up through all the glands and chakras. And I was told that my job was to draw them, but there were certain men in the Christ family who were to grieve, because what these codes were doing is they were bringing the truth of what he taught to heal the distortions of what has been done in the name of Christ consciousness, the Inquisition for one, a distortion of Christ energy.
Yeah.
And so
Yes, yes.
my husband wept a lot of the time that I did these codes. A man drove all the way up from Sydney, which is hours away from where I live, and said, I've just been told about you and I have to have a session with you. And when I showed him the codes, he burst into tears. Another friend rang me and said, I can't stop crying. I was told to talk to you. And I would thank them, saying, thank you so much. You're moving the grief of what men have been made to do that is not true Christ consciousness. True Christ consciousness is to protect, not to kill. And so having done those, this is the last series of that called The Light of Christ Consciousness. So this is coming from the 12th dimension through the union of Yeshua and Magdalene to birth the Christ child through the union. So this could only come after I'd drawn the Yeshua and Magdalene codes and brought them together on earth at the same time. I made an essence called the joining, where I joined all the codes in this, and it was ceremony, and all these things were saying, they're being honored at the same time. In Christ conscious, we have a sacred feminine, masculine.
So it's just coming to me. What's card 22 of the Yeshua cards of the Yeshua deck? Just
that may be one I don't have. There's only 18 of them. So if you go, so 22 is the Magdalene.
Oh.
Maybe it's
how many cards? Maybe
22 is the Magdalene.
Maybe it is.
So this one in the Magdalene codes is so maybe it was your masculine wanting your feminine to receive this code. So it's called the Earth Star or Planetary Christ. So this one here is the Magdalene code coming from the 9th dimension into the Earth Star chakra below your feet. So this code here says the spiritual purpose is to align one's soul purpose with the current divine plan for Earth in accordance with the highest good of all humankind, to earth and connect the true wisdom of the star lineage with the true wisdom and teachings of the inner earth people and Mother Gaia, to pulse the masculine and feminine to come together in union with respect and integrity, sharing and drawing on the wisdom of both. Its blessing is to nurture the roots of the tree of life within the Earth Star, with the sweet yet powerful blessing of male-female balance coming through the combined energies of our sun and our moon. And the Earth Star one, its spiritual purpose is to support the embracing of the codes of androgyny, the triad of union, which is our male and female birthing the child, enabling humanity to draw on the depth and wisdom of both polarities in order to bring peace through embracing all the lessons learned from individuation and separation. Its blessing is an experience of integration of union with the depth of compassion and understanding learned from the many experiences of individuation in the star nations as well as on the earth plane. And if you say with me, through the grace of Divine Mother's heart, through the grace of Divine Mother's heart, earthing through the heart of the Magdalene, I embrace the solar codes of the Christed Feminine from the Sun and Moon portal into the Earth Star. And if anyone else is watching who wants to receive this code as well as you, I'll just sing it in with its sound, and you just give it permission to come into your field. Sialota, 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 je suis Sio, je suis Sio, je suis Sio, Je suis si haut, je suis si haut, je suis si haut. Giving permission for this code to stay in your field, to bring you this flow.
Nice.
And you might
That
wonder,
feels like a that is a union of those. I felt more whole. I felt the coming together of something.
and
But
if
can
you
we
wonder,
see also that last deck what you did?
this is
I'm just curious about the cards of the
this is
last
deck.
deck. Yes, those. Yes.
There is 17 of these, and they're coming through the union. The first one is called the Blue Rose of Union, and it's a portal Yeshua told me about, that some horticulturists are trying to grow a blue rose because the blue rose ceased to exist when we lost union, because it thrives on union. And my husband and I, we and friends, we call it holy archy. We had patriarchy, matriarchy, in order to learn that it doesn't work to be separate. And so when we come into holy archy, it's through the union. And so the first one is called code O, and then you've got 1 through to 17. And there I started the information, I drew them, and then many years later I brought through the information at Uluru, beginning on the day out of time, and then on the next moon, solar eclipses after that. And because we do it in union, so my husband scribes for me as I bring through the information. He did that for the Yeshua codes, and he uses them in all his men's groups. And he's about to run a school for 13 months called School of the Sacred Masculine. He'll be working with the Yeshua codes, because it's really, really important for the sacred masculine to become the true protectors of the earth as she births. And so you can choose one of these if you want. You would go from
So
O
let
and
me
1 to 17.
choose. Well, let me try 17 and then
Well,
also
17
5.
is
But let's try.
17 is the same as the Magdalene in a way. It's working with the Earth Star. So what you have all the chakra systems below your feet. You have the Earth Star chakra, and that's how we ground. So if you have a look at this one, and I'll read you what it's about.
I just want to say
So you
these are
say,
all they're encoded though. The visual, the information. So just looking at these as a transmission, is that what you would say?
yes. So at first, when all the codes, I first did
Yeah.
them, I didn't have the information. People just receive it through the pattern. But sometimes the mind needs to know. And so this one, its affirmation is through the grace of the heart of Divine Mother Father, earthing through the union divine of Yeshua and Magdalene. I embrace the light of Christ consciousness from the sun and moon portal into the earth star. This one's purpose is to align your soul purpose again with the current divine plan on earth, in accord with the highest good of all humankind, to then bring with this alignment the blessing of your soul gifts and your journey through to ground in the earth star, to awaken in the depths of your being and life experience your connection through the Christ consciousness that lives within the core of your being, so you may know, experienced, and be nourished and fueled by the light and love from the Christ planes whilst embodied on earth. As you own that this Christ consciousness exists within you, you will be able to see beyond the veils of illusion this consciousness as it expresses in nature and life and in all beings. We, the Christ families of light, express our deepest gratitude to you who work with these codes for the part that you play, the planetary service that you give in support of the Heaven on Earth mission, which is to restore to love that which was created in love. And working with this code is to go into a very deep meditation to ignite to the solar and lunar pathways of light in your masculine, feminine pillars, to support all your bodies, mental, emotional, physical, soul, and etheric bodies, to integrate and sustain the earthing and birthing of Christ consciousness within every cell of your being. And with this code, as you meditate with it, you ask to be guided into a healing chamber within the inner earth, the crystal cities of light, to open up and receive blessings of light from the great, great central sun and moon, our sun and moon, through all the stargates, portals, and dimensions that the light of Christ consciousness travels from the heart of Divine Mother Father to earth and birth on the earth. And may you know, as you rest within the inner earth temple, grounding and anchoring this energy for yourself and the earth, that you are not separate, but are nourished and sustained from these pathways of light as you embody this Christ consciousness on earth. Would you like me to activate it with its song? So just
Yes,
receive it.
please.
And anyone who's there, because when it's sung in, it stays in your field as long as you need it. So this is its activation. Calling on your divine presence to take this code into your being in divine timing for your highest good and health. Ishana duwe aso duish na ish na duwe aso duish na ishana du aso du ishna Ishana duwe asudi ishnaha Ishana duwe asodu ishnaha Ishana duwe asodu ishnaha Je suis ici, oh, 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 je suis ici, oh. And breathe it in deeply. We call on the Christ families, the Yeshua, the Magdalens, to support you to receive the blessing of this code. And you may ask, why solar, why lunar? So women have been in their lunar energy, more passive in patriarchy. We need to claim the solar. So that's why the Magdalene are called the solar codes, working through the Magdalene flame. Yeshua, men have been more in their mental body, not in their feeling, and they need to open up their feeling centers in order to ascend. And so the Yeshua called Luna, to honor the Luna that is also in the masculine, the solar that is in the feminine, the masculine, the feminine within.
It's like the yin inside the yang, right? We need a little bit of that,
Yes.
because we've been so separate, balance. So now is the time for the Magdalene coming forward to bring forth the teachings of the feminine, so we can merge it with the mental states of the masculine.
Yes.
And
The science.
how are we doing with that?
Yes, well, it's amazing because a long time
Yes.
ago,
So
you didn't have.
how does it look?
We have many spiritual mothers now showing themselves. We have Mother
Right.
Mira, Mother Amma. You can just, and they're very different darshans that they offer. I sat with Mother Mira in Germany, and it's very strict in Germany. You have to march and, just sit, and she just blasts you with light. She's more a Durga energy, and she's unraveling your soul lines so you can bring more light to earth. And it was after my darshan with her that I actually started bringing through the Magdalene codes. And Mother Amma, who just hugs everyone, and you get an experience of what it is to be hugged by the mother. So we have more feminine teachers, and men who are in their sacred masculine know that their role is to protect. For every being that incarnates on earth from the divine mother and father energies, we're given a 6-pointed star. So in front of us is 6 ruby 12-strand avatars of the sacred feminine. They're nurturing the feminine. Behind us are 6 12-strand blue flamed avatars of the sacred masculine protecting our back. So if you're a man, it's giving your feminine, your intuition permission. It's not just that it'll be coming through women, it's coming through the feminine within men, for men to trust their intuition, for the feminine to understand the logic of it. You know, it's science and all coming together in union. And so neither is right or wrong, but the feminine teachings went behind the back.
No, it sounds like you're describing the Merkaba or Planck's cube. If we activate that in a hyperdimensional view of those two six-pointed stars as they merge geometries, and it's activating the multidimensional mind. I mean, it's very mental, but it's really a sense of being in many places and having all those lives start to merge into this one. It feels like that's the gift you're giving people.
In this lifetime, if we can come to peace with all that we've been here, this and other lifetimes, and this one, because we have learnt, and hopefully we've learnt compassion, then we're setting free our future selves. And like I think Phil said, he thinks it's his future self speaking. Well, often our future selves are coming to be set free in our present time so that they're not bound by what we're still acting out in this present time, because time is an illusion. And I was told a long time ago that time on our planet has been a gift in a way from time lords that have given us this false construct of time, and that's leaving. They're leaving. So they said to me that what was moving may be solid, what is solid may be moving. And they gave me a mantra to align to that which is beyond time, because we need to be able to be aligned with that, because the earth may seem to go into chaos. So they taught me this mantra. It's a very, very simple mantra, and it's aligns you to that which is timeless and brings it back in to the present time. So you aren't walking around saying there's not enough time, because there is always, but we are in this false construct. We're in a 12-month calendar, which has no natural cycle. We have 13 moons. So we're not even running on a true sense of time, the illusion of time anyway.
Right. So what's the mantra? What's the mantra?
Yeah, the mantra is, if you put the word aura, A-U-R-A, and next to the A, you add a little tiny E, A-E. And so what you're doing is, from your heart, you activate your heart flame, and then you extend out to that which is timeless and bring it back into your being. And I was told when I was first given this to sing it 6 times to activate it. And they said that more and more you will align. So you will be able to be centered in the times of chaos. And we're in that now. So from your heart, and it's working with the Raphael energies too, the angel of healing. So you just activate your heart flame. Just imagine you're sitting in your inner heart temple, in this beautiful flame within, which is blue, gold, and pink. This holds the energy of your love, light, and power of your presence. And you're singing to that which is beyond time. So with your hands, you're going, and I'll sing it once, and then we can sing it 6 times together. So you're going like this. A-E-U-R-A. So think of the word or with a little E. So it's A-E-U-R-A. So from your heart to that which is timeless. A-E-U-R-A. 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 And you bring it back to your heart and you say, I align to that which is timeless. There is enough time to do what I'm here to do, to complete my mission. There is enough time, more than enough time. And I was facilitating at a conference once in Byron with Kailana, and the speaker, um, one speaker ran over her time, and the next speaker had a long, strong belief that there wasn't enough time for her. So she went into panic. There won't be enough time. So we supported her to clear that thought form. And then Kailana and I went in and we sang it in all the directions. We sang A-E-U-R-A. We didn't tell her we were doing that. We just asked her to clear the belief of a wound she had as there's not enough time for me to be seen. She started her presentation. She had so much time. She didn't know how to fill it. She just was astounded at just the expansion of time. And so time is an illusion, and we have all bought into it. We move by our clocks. I've got to race to, so often I sing it as I'm driving, A-E-U-R-A, and I'm just aligning myself to that which is timeless.
Right. I like that you're singing, and that, when I first got to Australia, right at the airport, a group of Australian Aborigines met me because I was part of a film, and they sang into the land of Australia. They met us, we stood in a circle in the air, and they sang me onto their land. It was really special. It was really, and I'm still in touch with them, this Australian group, Aborigines. And it's about they live in this dream time world. They told me about dream time. They taught me the dreaming of dream time. And in that place, there is no time because consciousness exists in the forever realm. And so, yeah, I think it feels like you're connecting back to that Aboriginal wisdom and updating it for the planet in a sense. I mean, that's what I get.
I've been honored enough to, I was given a commission by Spirit to talk to some Aboriginal elders in the language of light and help them remember, because in our area, a lot of them have lost their dreaming. And I remember being at a conference, there was a beautiful Aboriginal elder, and he was teaching dance. And one time at this conference, I was teaching people how to sing the chakras, and he was teaching people dance, and we couldn't go to each other's workshop. And we met, and he said, "Oh, I wish we could, And all of a sudden we looked at each other and said, let's do something together." So I was singing songs that I had heard when I walked the land at Uluru, and he was doing the Aboriginal shadow dancing, and we were just merging healing those separations. And I've been out with Aboriginal women, and the next time I met him, he brought his uncle, and I was asked to speak to him in the language of light, and I never know what it will be. And so I asked him, would he be open to this? And he said yes. And so I spoke to him in the language of light, and when I opened my eyes, he was crying, and he said to me, when his father died, a totem came to him. The Aboriginal people have their dreaming totems, and he came to him to take him through his dying process. And this man, who was older now and was the son then, was a bit upset, and the father said to him, "Don't be upset for me. I go to a dreaming place. Life has been hard here." And he said, "When it's your time, you will find that place." And he hadn't been able to find it. And he said that when I spoke to him in the language of light, he was shown his dreaming place. And he died not a long time after that. And so we're ending that illusion of separation, because we are all citizens of planet Earth. I've worked with some Maori people, I've worked with Aboriginal people, Celtic, and we all, if we go very deep, we all have a puzzle piece of how to care for the earth. And the Aboriginal people would sing the song lines, and it was very much part of their responsibility. And so I've gone to different massacre sites, and I've sung the song I was given to sing Spirits Free, and I've sung Trapped Souls through with this song. And when I was at Uluru, I was asked to come to a Mayan Magdalene conference, and that's on the day at a time we sang in the Celestial City of Light. And I had been there 33 years before, I think, doing ceremony there. And I was given the beginning of a song, and it said, to enter the dreaming, one must become the dreaming. 33 years later, they gave me the rest of the song. Can I sing it to you? Because it's exactly what you said. And they told me that.
I love that. just want to say the singing is very much a part of the Aboriginals. There's the book that's written about them called The Voices of the First Day, because that sound of vibration is very important. Well, it's important to all of us. But yes, please sing this song. Maybe it'll
Why,
help us all remember.
yeah, why it's important is that sometimes Aboriginal people can't get to the sites to sing them. I've spoken to different Aboriginal elders who say the young ones don't want to know anymore. And so sometimes I walk the land, and I've walked it in New Zealand, in Australia, and I hear the songs and I sing them back. And when I was in New Zealand, a Maori elder told me that the songs I was hearing were ancient ori oris, lullabies to the children, songs for the land. And so we walked together singing, which was really beautiful. So it's ending the separation. So this song, they told me that the celestial city of light the only time it could birth was on the day out of time. So this is the song. So it's about the dreaming. To enter the dreaming, one must become the dreaming. When you enter the dreaming, there is no time, not bound by time, set free of the mind. The spirit can travel beyond space and time. The spirit can travel interdimensionally. To enter the dreaming, one must become the dreaming. When you enter the dreaming, there is no time, not bound by time, set free of the mind. The spirit can travel beyond space and time. The spirit can travel interdimensionally. And the whales often give me songs, and they gave me one that talks about the dreaming. So they want to give you this blessing because the whales still travel
Sing us
interdimensionally.
that.
So this I got when I was out with the whales,
Yeah.
and we saw a beautiful whale breaching, and I went in, and she swam underneath me and blasted me with energy to draw the healing and separation codes, and the activation of the God gene code came from the whales. And this is their song, and it goes, Ishanae uwae uwae Ishanae. In our hearts we share the same dreaming, peace on earth, heaven on earth, land and sea, no separation. In our hearts we live as one. Ishanae, uwae, uwae, Ishanae. In the dream time we journey together, side by side, on the path of the heart. On the dream trails we journey together, side by side, never apart. We sing as one, our true hearts dreaming, peace on earth, heaven on earth. We sing a prayer for all who live here, that they may live in a peaceful heart. Ishanae, uwae, uwae, Ishanae. Heart to heart, never apart, on the path of the heart. Ishanae.
Thank you. Thank you. What you're reminding me of is how people are living in cities and trapped. They're separate from the elements. They're the voices of the forces that feed us. And, we need to return to nature in a sense. We really are as nature, earth element, these earth bodies. So that's how the earth ascends through the earth bodies. I feel that's part of our transformation.
A long time ago, and part of what Yeshua was doing was that we used to descend through the inner earth, through the violet sun within the inner earth. And when Yeshua came, a lot of the Druids, a lot of Aboriginal people too, closed down those portals. And Yeshua was teaching how to ascend through the suns this way. That's why you have all the spires going up. But then in our
Right.
time of union and ascension, we need to have the choice to do both, to ascend through the inner earth and through the sun and moon portals. We can have that choice. And so they're opening up again with inner earth people.
Yeah, no, I totally believe that the inner earth people it's their time that's coming, and we're going to reunite with those beings that are being separate from the barbaric ways of these people who live on the surface. We've been so it's been such a distortion. And so there is a time of reunification with the earth beings, the inner earth beings. So is there anything you could leave us with that we could do and take and practice and start to connect to those realms that we're trying to remember?
I would really ask all of you as a service to sing Aeura, because if the more people that can align to that which is timeless will help you stay centered, even in these times of COVID, when everything seems crazy. So that's a gift I'm giving you with a request. If you would sing Aeura, then it would help the earth. Because to me, we are all being asked to remember who we truly are, be who we are here, and help the earth in her ascension. So that's just a simple request I'd like to make. If you're aligned to it, if it makes your heart sing to do that, not only for yourself, but for the future time, so you can be centered. I made an essence, I think I shared, called Renew and Regenerate, because I asked what could I do around COVID. So I did a webinar with a lovely friend, Amareya, who's American, called on deactivating the death hormone and activating the rejuvenation hormone, because the planet, there's such fear of death right now. So I did that. We did that as a webinar, and I made Renew and Regenerate because divas were talking to me years ago about this essence will help you stay centered in times of epidemic. This essence will help you clear the thought forms you have around viruses and that are attached to viruses. Another one with Diva was talking about this will help the lungs expand and feel rejuvenated through connecting to the holy breath of God. And I have all the immune essences, so I made Renew and Regenerate. So I'm asking all of you, what can you do? What is your spirit pulsing you to do that you may serve the earth and humanity at this time? It might be that every time you clear something, clear a thought form, and bring the truth in, you send that truth to the heart of humanity that they may receive it. If you've cleared something in your life, send it as a blessing to the heart of humanity so that through their presence, they can clear this too. That's why we're here. We can help. Because sometimes we've taken on a wound. I, for a long time, gave a workshop called Handing the Wound Back to Amaya, the Galactic Mother, because often as light workers, we couldn't come to the earth and just say, there's a big mess over there, I'm going to get out my psychic bloom and clean it up. That's against universal law. There was a little loophole, which was, I can come, I can incarnate and become human. I can take on that wound. And then as the planetary citizen, when I heal it, I have a perfect right to ask that they be lifted from the song lines of the earth. And so that's a whole process I do called Handing the Wound Back, to look at what did you take on. You give it back to Amaya, the Galactic Mother, and then you ask that this goes through all the song lines of the earth. We can do so much. And just one thing I want to say, that if anyone is interested in the Ascension, the Light of Christ consciousness codes. They're not on my website. It said that only certain people will feel to work with them, and they're the ones that are part of the Heaven on Earth mission. So it will go on eventually, but if anyone is interested, they can always email me and have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. And I'm very honored to have been on your YouTube.
Oh, what's your email? What's your email that people can use?
My email is, it's on the website, but you can just go to info at
find it on the website.
Yeah. Info at Rose of Raphael. But there is one song that the whales gave me. It's a goodbye song. I could sing you that to complete if you like.
Well, before you sing the goodbye song, before you sing the goodbye song, I'm interested in what you see the timeline for the future. You see the future unfolding for us as we move forward through the year to next, and we start the spiral upwards. How do you see things coming down?
There was an amazing book written years ago by David Spangler through Findhorn, and he talked about the choice we have, and he talked about the predictions of Nostradamus. You know about those? Fire and brimstone. And he said that someone can only see from the consciousness of the present time they're in. So when Nostradamus looked forward, he saw the apocalypse. What David Spangler very wisely said, he said, we have a choice of humanity to create the apocalypse because of our consciousness, or if enough are evolved enough, we can create the 4 horsemen of Aquarius. Now we're coming out of a Piscean age where Christ consciousness came through suffering, martyrdom. We're moving into the Aquarian age, which is to teach through song, dance, laughter, abundance. So the best thing we can all do is to look to our own consciousness and to clear it. Because if everybody did that, we would have a raised consciousness to have the 4 horsemen of Aquarius. And COVID to me is presenting an amazing learning curve for humanity to look at what is important. Because so many decisions have been made about this earth in order to earn money. Children don't get to see their parents often because they're so busy working to create the big house. Children are being vaccinated in Australia to go to daycare so both parents can work. What is now, I think the time is what can I do? Because people have gone into separation and they believe, I can't, But if we all go into unity consciousness and say, I will do my part to be conscious here. I will do my part to clear my own energy and be a living conduit for light on earth through my chakra column. So I suppose I'm commissioning everyone. Part of my commission was I was sung to by my Pleiadian ancestors a song called Child of Light. And I've sung babies through, I've sung people through with this little simple song, but it's about commissioning you to be who you are here. And because often we're born with insane birthing practices, our cords cut too soon, separating us from our own tree of life. And people are split across the middle. They can either, stay connected but can't ground, or ground and can't connect. And that's right across, because the placenta is part of the baby. It's the part sort of reaching into the physical. If you have a lotus birth, for instance, if you look at the placenta, you'll see it holds the tree of life within it. So I've drawn codes in DNA repatterning to go back in time and restore that patterning as if your cord wasn't cut. So you can have your tree of life, so you can be grounded and connected, protected, and walk the earth as who you are through your tree of life. So I'll give you a choice. I can sing the goodbye song, or I can sing the Child of Light song.
Can you sing both?
Sing both? If you've got time, I can sing both.
I mean, yes.
Up to you.
We have time.
Okay.
I think.
So Child of Light, I was sung to on the inner planes, and years later, I was in Sedona with a beautiful Cherokee shaman in Hidden Valley, and she gave me a soul retrieval session, and who came in were my Pleiadian parents, and they said, you've been singing that song to everybody else, but you haven't got that we were singing you. We were singing that song to you. And I would sing it to everyone. From when I heard it was from the Pleiades, We Remember You. But I would be able to sing to people and I'd be able to tell which star lineage they came from. So I'll just sing it because the Pleiades are very strong around helping the earth at this time. So I'll sing it as I originally got it. And I want you to all close your eyes for a moment. So if you close your eyes, I want you to ask your Holy Spirit, not bound by time, to take you back to the moment when you were born. Maybe not received, maybe not honored or respected. And I want to sing this song to you through your timelines to welcome you to the earth. Child of light, you shine so bright. Child of wisdom, child of might, we'll sing to you, we'll sing you through. Child of light, we acknowledge you. Child of light, you shine so bright. Child of wisdom, child of light, we'll sing to you, we'll sing you through. In our hearts we remembered you, sing to you. From the Pleiades we remember you. So child of light, who shines so bright, child of wisdom, child of might, we've sung to you, we've sung you through. To the earth plane we welcome you, to shine your light with all your might. Child of light, we commission you to shine your light through all your life. To the earth plane we welcome you. Hello to you, hello to you. Child of light, we acknowledge you. We ask you just to ask your Holy Spirit to take that welcome from that little baby being born through any circumstances where you felt not welcomed, where you felt your gifts weren't welcomed, your light not seen, to bring this healing through your timelines into present time, into your future life, that you may know that you are important here. All the gifts you bring, your codes of light, your codes of love, all needed by Mother Earth at this time. And she welcomes you and has called you here. So blessed be your service. Namaste, beautiful ones. Blessed be your day. Blessed be your journey as you travel on your way. May you be protected and nurtured on your way, surrounded by the love light that guides and lights your way. Thank you for your heart songs and all the joy they bring. Thank you for the love you share with every song you sing. You live within our heart now, forever and a day. Oh, beautiful ones, we sing you namaste. Blessed be your journeys, blessed be your days. Blessed be the love light that shines and lights your way. Oh, beautiful ones, we sing you namaste.
It's beautiful. You're like a fairy. You're like a fairy godmother, you know?
One of
like
my
you're
images is I
you're
was a fairy queen in another lifetime. That's why my job was to bring through the flower essences.
no, but it's like you're you're in the world, but not of the world. You know, you're you're bringing through the magical essence of why we came in the first place. Yes, cards, the songs, the visions, the code. So thank you for doing that and playing and bringing joy. So was
And thank you so
that
much for
last
inviting me.
song, was that the goodbye song? Thank you.
I was
Was that
given
the
that, yeah, I was given that by the whales. Often I would go out with the whales and I'd receive a song, and then because the whales can't often get onto the earth lines anymore, and things changing, so I would receive a song from them and I'd go and sing it, and I'd take it to Uluru and I'd sing it. And but this time I was sitting on the front of the boat with the whales, and that song was for them. That was song to bless them and to thank them for what they do when they sing the earth.
mm,
And so it's for all of you too, to bless you. And you know, the simple thing you can do is when you get up in the morning, you can just say, activate, activate, activate my eternal tree of life. And you just imagine this beautiful tree that has a trunk that goes from your base to your crown, crystalline, and you say, grounded, you take one hand to the earth, grounded, connected, protected, I walk in my light. Activate, activate, activate my inner eternal crystalline tree of life. Grounded, connected, protected, I walk in my light. And you do it before you go to sleep. And that way you're walking in your light. Yeah. So it's lovely to have you smiling back at me, and
this has
blessing
been a
and big love to anyone who else has
thank
been on the call. I hope it's helped you.
well, we've had lots of people on the call and they all are seem to be enjoying this process because this has been a journey. I call this journey of initiation and transformation. So this is what you've given us tonight here. This journey. And what's next for you before you say goodbye? What's next? What's
Well,
your
I'll
what's
be
coming up?
supporting my husband Rama when he does his School of the Sacred Masculine. A couple of us will be coming along representing the Divine Feminine. And I'm completing bodies of work for Rosa and Raphael. We can't travel. And so if you could all send me a blessing, because part of what I'm opening up to do is more doing webinars of our Sacred Union work, putting out webinars, because we can't travel at this point in teach, but we have a lot of teachings around what it is to be the sacred feminine. Rama has the sacred masculine. We bring them together in union. So maybe send us lots of prayers that we will be able to get through our glitches and start offering webinars more often. And the other thing I wanted to say to all of you, like for me, I was told a long time ago that I wasn't from here, but I had to earn what it was to be and learn what it was to be human. Because I think a lot of us here in Atlantis, there were many star systems involved, and we needed to know more what was the highest good of Mother Earth. So what my prayer is that I want to align to the divine plan of Mother Earth herself. How can I serve her in her ascension process? And so I'm just turned 70. I've had 4 children and a stepdaughter and grandchildren, which takes my support as well. And often I'm called to sing the land. But my whole purpose is I wanted to work with the teachers. So I have different people come into my group who are teachers and don't go to any others, but they come to be held. And so mine is, if we could all activate our soul purpose and do it, then we would have a heaven on earth if everybody did what they were here to do. So all my work is supporting people to honor their gifts and to offer them to the earth in service at this time. And I have many, many songs that sing about that. And the Uwe Noah Portal song is the one that I sing to sing off the old energies. So maybe just to complete, I would sing that to you and ask wherever you are in your land that maybe that song activates and it can help clear the old energies from wherever you are and bring the new earth. And the Uwe Noah stay open as long as needed. And so it works with really supporting the old energies to leave and go back to source, whole guardians. And it brings in the new guardians for this time we're moving into in our Christ ending of our planet. So would that work for you, Alan, if I just complete with that?
Yes, of course. No, I want to hear.
So the Ue Noa song I was given,
Yes.
I was with up at the Wanganui River in New Zealand with a Maori settlement. They were reclaiming back, and I was taken to the grave of an ancestor. They buried her there. And she appeared to me as I sat behind a grave, and she had Maori features, but she was pure white spirit. And she said that she needed to be sung free of the land, because she said, I need to go back to source, recharge, and then I will reincarnate through my people, but someone must sing me. And she gave me a beautiful disc that was like a yin yang, half black, half white. And she said, if I give you the song, will you sing me? And I did. And I saw this whole portal open, and I saw her ascend. And then the next morning I was told to give it to the head of the marae, who was a very strong Maori lady, and hadn't really been, hadn't sung me in, or because I was pakia, white. So I went up and I said to the spirit, they said, you need to give her the song. It's really important for the survival of this marae. And I said, well, she's not really that open to me. I'm, this white person. And they said, tell her it holds the 7 tonga of the 7 tribes. I didn't know what that meant. So I went to her and I said, your spirits have, and I told her what had happened. They said that they want you to sing it, you and the children, for the next 7 years. And she's still just looking at me. And I said, I'll do it if you want. If you don't want, that's fine. But they said to tell you it holds the 7 tonga of the 7 tribes. And she said, well, you better give it to me then. And I found out the tonga is the sacred teachings from the Pleiades. So it's always important, this song, that we ask permission of the guardians of the Ue Noa portal to open this up, so that all that no longer serves is given safe passage. In America, I know there's lots of sites where American Indian people were killed, the same as in Australia. So we could ask that if this be appropriate, that it be taken to any sites that need it. I have sung it in America, in Montana, this song. So we're just asking for the highest good of this song, and that it close down. It may not want to stay in your home, but it may go somewhere in nature near you, or it may stay in the city. So we're just asking for the highest good, and that the guardians will close it down when it's no longer needed, but will take it where it's needed. And it's being offered to all of you personally on this call, so that you can offer into that anything that no longer serves you, and you can bring in all the support to shine your light on this earth. So it gets sung 7 times to honor the Pleiades, 7 sisters. Ue Noa Re Apo, 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 Ue Noa Re Apo. Blessed be, we give thanks to all the beautiful ones through the codes, the songs that came in. And we give thanks to your beautiful presences, and we thank you for incarnating on the earth at this time to support Mother Earth in her ascension and to pave your ascension process home.
Thank you for being. Thank you for trusting your inner guidance to stand separate from the crowd that chooses to do this, but we're changing. Come forward and express the sacred codes, right? I mean, we need to be reminded of who we are. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been an honor to be asked to come on your show. Like I said to you on Phil's webinar, I've been hiding a lot of just gradually putting my work out, and I've promised Spirit that if this work is needed, I won't hold back and I'll share it with whoever. And so when you asked me to come on your...
It's on the internet now.
I said yes. So thank you so much. I'm so honored that you trusted me to come.
Oh, well,
not knowing me very well.
I'm happy you have free. No, I just had a good feeling about you, and thank Kailana Rose, Raphael Rose, Kailana Rose Raphael, right?
Raphael Rose. I work with the brotherhoods and sisterhoods of the Rose. That's why my essences are called Rose of Raphael.
Nice.
And the brotherhoods and sisters of the Rose.
I'll let you know.
Yes. So, nice day.
Thank you. Thank you.
And blessings on your beautiful work. And everyone who's listening, thank you so much.
I'll send you
Pardon?
I'll send you a link to this, Pat. I'll send you a link to this show so you could use it for whatever purposes you want.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. I'll ask my daughter to put it on my website.
Yeah, sorry for there was a little noise coming through a ding on the computer here and there, but I think it came out well. Thank you again. Thank you everyone for watching, everyone on the chat, and we'll be in touch, okay, Kailana?
Thank you, Ellen. Much love.
Much love. Have a great day.
I will.
My regard, my Australian friend. Okay. Bye.